Verse 8 records the judgment that David's enemies pronounce. An evil disease, say they, cleaveth fast unto him, and now that he lieth, he shall rise up no more. Psalm 41, verse 8. The phrase, an evil disease, identifies what they claim afflicts David. The word translated evil carries the idea of worthlessness or wickedness. Disease refers to something poured out in David's life. David's enemies declare he suffers from a wicked affliction. The verb cleaveth means to pour out, while the word fast intensifies this meaning. The disease sticks to David. It will not release him. His enemies believe his sickness will prove fatal. They speak with certainty about David's condition. The second clause reveals their conclusion. And now that he lieth, he shall rise up no more. The phrase, now that he lieth, describes David's state. He lies on his sick bed. The verb shall rise up speaks of recovery or restoration. The words no more make their judgment absolute. David's enemies declare he will never recover. They pronounce his death sentence. This pronouncement reveals their theology. They believe sickness always implies sin. They see David's illness as evidence of his guilt. Their words reflect the false comfort of Job's friends. When Job suffered, his friends insisted he must have sinned. Eliphaz declared, remember, I pray thee, who ever perished, being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Job 4 verse 7. Job's friends claimed the righteous never suffer. They insisted calamity only strikes the wicked. They judged Job based on his circumstances rather than his character. David's enemies make the same error. They see his sickness and declare God has abandoned him. They pronounce judgment without knowledge. Their words add spiritual torment to David's physical pain. Verse 9 reveals the deepest betrayal. Yea, mine own familiar friend, in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread, hath lifted up his heel against me. Psalm 41, verse 9. The word yea introduces this statement with emphasis. David moves from describing his enemies in general to identifying one particular person. The phrase, mine own familiar friend, identifies this betrayer. The word familiar means intimate or close. This person shared David's confidence. The phrase, in whom I trusted, reveals the depth of their relationship. David placed confidence in this friend and believed in his loyalty. The clause, which did eat of my bread, describes their fellowship. Sharing a meal created bonds of trust and obligation. This false friend sat at David's table. He received David's hospitality and enjoyed his provision. The last phrase shows the betrayal. Hath lifted up his heel against me. This expression describes a violent kick. The image comes from a horse kicking backward. The friend who walked beside David now strikes him. He who ate his bread attacks him. The person David trusted now joins his enemies. Verse 10 shifts from the description of David's situation to prayer. But thou, O Lord, be merciful unto me, and raise me up, that I may requite them. Psalm 41, verse 10. The word but marks a contrast. David turns from his enemies to the Lord. The address, O Lord, uses God's covenant name. David appeals to the God who keeps promises. The phrase, be merciful unto me, requests God's grace. David asks for undeserved favor. He does not claim righteousness or demand justice based on his own merit. Rather, David pleads for mercy. The clause, and raise me up, asks for restoration. The verb raise connects to verse 8. His enemies declared he would never rise again. David asks God to prove them wrong. He requests healing and vindication. The final phrase states his purpose, that I may requite them. The verb requite means to repay or recompense. David desires vindication.